Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Jolly by Nature, and we are back bringing you our Chapter 8 PvP Team Builder for the Blastburn Radio Nuzlocke World Tour. We are preparing for our PvP showdown on episode 50, not 50, God, not 50, episode... I don't know what episode of my podcast it is. 83, episode 83 of Blastburn Radio podcast. This is a really exciting one, you guys. This week we are barely in second place. We are nipping at the heels of Celeste, who has come off of some really punishing losses. She lost her Braviary on the same week she was going to be able to finally bring it out of purgatory and use it in PvP, which is real unfortunate for her. And yeah, we're in a really great place to ride and rock and roll, and ideally put ourselves in first going into the finale. Like that's the commanding position you always want to be in, right? Is to have everyone else chasing you going into the finale, and I'm in a real position to make that happen. We're real excited for that. There is one major shakeup to my own team this week, of course, and that is the addition of a new little fat fluffy friend, Ashley the Clefairy, who you can see on the overlay. We picked her up in a hidden grotto, therefore she activated Grotto Claws. We must bring her. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Jolly, why is Ashley still a Clefairy? This is the ass end of the game, Jolly. If you don't have a Moonstone, you can get one. You can get a Moonstone, Jolly. Why is this fat friend still a Clefairy? And I am glad that you asked, hypothetical audience member. Ashley is still a Clefairy because this week is specifically doubles PvP, and hidden ability Clefairy gets Friend Guard, which reduces damage done to allies on the field by 75%, which means that if Ashley is on the field, nothing else is taking dick for damage. They're just not, which is great. I have the option of using Follow Me, which you'll see that she knows, to redirect attacks to protect allies, or just doing other annoying things and just being like, well, you can either target Ashley down and try to kill her, or you can leave her be and not do dick all for damage to the other thing, which is a real catch-22. I'm real happy for it. We're at 114 defense, which is, I mean, not incredible for... As a baseline comparison, let's see, our most physically bulky thing is Kimberly the Skarmory, and we're not going to compare that because that's just not fucking fair. But let's look at Madison. So Madison's physical defense is 123, so it's almost as high as our fat bulky jellyfish friend, and then boosted by Eviolite, she's actually going to be substantially bulkier physically, and probably about the same specially, if I was guessing, at 1.5. Yeah, 90, 1.5 and 90 is about 130. So yeah, about the same specially, more bulky physically. It's just going to be a good fat little terror fuck, being a huge nightmare for both of our opponents to deal with this week in PvP, which is great. Obviously we have to bring it to both matches, so having it be really useful in both matches is really good. Obviously we're gonna have to carry Ashley into the finale as well, which is a little bit more concerning just because this is such an incredibly difficult Elite Four gauntlet, but Ashley's got real value there too, because once we evolve Ashley into a Clefable, her ability is going to change to Unaware, which means that she's going to negate setup effects. So with an Elite Four gauntlet, for instance, where Iris has a Dragon Dance Haxorus, having something that can say, no, I don't care about your Dragon Dance, that's real fucking good. You love to see it. You love to see it. Now the rest of our PvP roster for this week is Xander the Amoonguss, Drakina the Heracross, Madison the Jellicent, Jason the Excadrill, Zin Aku our Zoroark, Chip our Galvantula, and Billy our Cincino. We sat Kimberly the Skarmory for this week, and it's not because Kimberly is not real good, because spoilers, Kimberly is excellent, one of the best mon on my team. It's because Kimberly's like stat spread and moveset is largely targeted at singles battling. She's too passive, she's too easy to ignore in a doubles battle, and she doesn't really punish that the way some of our other fat bulky friends do. And so Kimberly's sitting the bench this week. Kimberly will 100% be out next week for the Elite Four. I actually need her very badly, both for the Elite Four gauntlet and for the PvP that comes after. So no worries, we will be using our Skarmory, just not this week. I'm not entirely convinced in hindsight that I shouldn't have brought Kimberly this week and sat Billy instead, but you know, hindsight and all that. We get what we get. We can't throw a fit. Our roster's set. We can't change it now. So We've got a couple of new tools this week that are going to be fun to play with. We're going to be changing around some movesets, so I'm going to get some friends out of the bank specifically whose movesets are going to get toyed with. And we're going to talk a little bit about like what our opponents have and what I expect them to bring and what we're going to bring to counter. Yeah, because those are good conversations to have, and we're going to need to do some flying. So we're going to bring our bird to fly us around as well, because as you know, bird is the word. Now, for my opponents, Mess is bringing an unchanged roster. This is the same roster that Mess brought last week, which is Absolem, his Amoonguss, Ariel, his Vaporeon, Brutus, his Crocodile, Fidget, his Crobat, Gaston, the Conkeldurr, Anasi, the Galvantula, Lumiere, the Chandelure, and Maui, the Gigalith. This is the same roster that we saw last week. Like, there's definitely threats here, and if anything, I feel like in doubles and without Kimberly on the roster, I'm less equipped to deal with it this week, which is a little bit frustrating. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. We got Flamethrower for our Zoroark for Zenaku, which is real fucking dope. It sucks, but here's the cool thing. I am 70 points up on Mess. 10 points down on Celeste, if my math isn't wrong. Celeste hasn't actually logged her points for the week, but I did some mental math on what they should be. And if I'm not fucking up, I'm 10 points behind Celeste, which is dope. So I don't need to beat Mess. Even if Mess sweeps PvP and I lose both, which is obviously like almost the nightmare. The nightmare situation actually is Celeste wins both PvP, because that's going to put her like right back out of my reach without her fucking up, which is unfortunate. But it's not a great situation if Mess wins both and I win none. But even if that happens, he doesn't pass me. He's still in third by a hair. So we keep that commanding position on Mess regardless, which means that I had to build my team based on what's best against Celeste, not as much what's best against Mess. If I was a betting man, I would say that Mess is probably not going to bring Maui the Gigalith this week. Like, Maui is kind of like Kimberly, honestly, in that it's really great as a physical wall in singles, and Stealth Rocks is real good hazards, and neither of those things are particularly potent in a doubles battle arena. It's possible that I'm wrong, of course, but I'm not expecting to see Maui. I don't super expect to see Anasi the Galvantula, who I think has a lot more downside and less upside in doubles than in singles this week against me, although I could be wrong. We could see Absolem the Amoonguss sit, although for reasons that we'll talk about here in a bit, like reasons that I'm bringing my Amoonguss, I don't think so. So my best guess is that we will not see the Galvantula or the Gigalith this week, although I could be entirely wrong about that. I definitely think we see the Amoonguss, the Crocodile, the Crobat, and the Chandelure. Like, I think those four are absolutely a lock. And I expect to see Gaston as well. I don't think Gaston has as great of a matchup against me as he does against Celeste, but he is like pretty decent against Jason, and that's definitely a consideration for Mess at this point in the game, I think. Now for Celeste, her roster is mostly unchanged. She's made one really significant change, and one that I think is actually kind of a pretty huge mistake when it comes right down to it, and we'll talk about that, of course. But Celeste's roster still consists of Solon, her Jellicent, Caspar, her Arcanine, Ash, her Zangoose, Ignatz, her Reuniclus, Lysithea, her Electros, Bernadetta, her Lilligant, Rhea, her Sandslash, and now new to the team is Nemesis, her Altaria. It's a good Altaria. Like, she was posting its like stat spread in chat earlier, and like, yeah, it's a real good Altaria, and I can see why she was immediately like kind of tempted to it as the new shiny. But at the end of the day, like, her Crobat has been like an absolute phenom all season and has consistently been the foil of my team. And I think that sitting Petra for any reason, for any purpose, I think at this point is pretty definitively a goof 'em up. But that's my opinion. Opinions are like assholes, right? And maybe that Altaria is going to turn out to be really great. I'm not super expecting it to be. Also, it's worth noting that it doesn't get like a lot of like competitive Altaria moves until the post game. And I don't think Celeste realized that when she selected it for PvP. In fact, I'm fully expecting it to sit this week. But regardless, it might not. She might bring it. And I feel pretty fine about it either way. I definitely, I mean, obviously Celeste has to bring Ashe or Zangoose. She has no choice. That is her fateful encounter. I wouldn't be shocked to see Lysithea the Electros sit out this week. I wouldn't be shocked to see Rhea the Sandslash sit, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Bernadetta the Lilligant sit out. That is a Pokemon that thrives very much in a singles environment and is going to struggle, obviously, in doubles. And it hasn't done a lot for her for the last several cycles, like anyway, to begin with. So yeah, I think any of those could reasonably sit. I think we're definitely going to see Solon the Jellicent, definitely see Caspar, definitely see Zangoose. And Reuniclus, like I think those four are really good and are pretty well locks on her team. But I feel like my team bodies Celeste's team this week, and that's not like something that she necessarily could have done much about in preparation. But it's definitely something that I think is true. Now, as you can see, I'm making a couple of moveset changes. We picked up some new TMs this week. I did them off stream because in the case of all of them, it wasn't like going someplace new and exploring an area. It was going back someplace I've already been and using Surf. So I just did that. But we got Flamethrower for Zenaku, which is real dope. Even though we're not running either of our fire types this week, which I was not expecting at this point in the game, but it's true, we're not. But even though we don't have either of those Pokemon, we do have access to fire coverage, which is real good. I'm a big believer that in like the pre-Gen 6 metagame, fire is actually usually a type that it's better to have as coverage than as stab. Although I've had some real good fire types. I'm not complaining there. And I think that having a nasty plot flamethrower user in Zenaku is real fucking dope. We gave Rock Slide back to Jason because this is doubles PvP, and having the option to Rock Slide and go for flinches is real fucking good. We're going to run the wide lens on Jason as well, just to try to minimize the risk, the mischance, which is what boned us horribly in our last doubles PvP showdown. We also gave Energy Ball to Chip because that's great coverage. You might notice that we learned to overvolt switch for it. And that's just because like I think that Discharge has a lot of really good utility this week if we can get Chip out alongside Jason to just go for spread damage. And so I wanted both Thunder and Discharge for different reasons, and we don't do as much switching in doubles, so I felt like missing out on Volt Switch for 1 week was a reasonable sacrifice to get it. Obviously Volt Switch is going back right the fuck back on his moveset next week. We did not learn Scald on Jellicent, and the reason for that, A, again, this is doubles PvP and Surf hits both sides, so that's good. But B, we have Will-O-Wisp, which really like I could go Scald and override Will-O-Wisp for Toxic, but I feel like having like the guaranteed burn is more valuable personally. The other thing that's really important to note coming into this week, we did give Ashley our Clefairy Thunderwave. This moveset is going to change up dramatically next week when Ashley is a Clefable, because we're not going to be in doubles, so obviously like Follow Me is not going to be good. But for now, I think this is the best moveset, although actually, well, now that I look at it, we're also going to give her Return over Body Slam for the same reason, because she's already got Thunderwave, so we don't need to fish for Para. Are you okay, sweetheart? What's the matter? Is Delilah messing with you? You could just say no, please. Thank you. Sorry. So yeah, we're going to give Return to Ashley for a little bit more potency. I doubt she's going to be clicking many offensive moves in this match, but if she does, it's going to be the best offensive move we can make it. The other thing that's really important to note is, we did give Giga Drain back to Xander over Clear Smog. Being able to threaten Clear Smog to discourage setup is real good, but we wanted to have that good grass type offensive option, particularly against some of the ground types that are floating around. But Xander, the big reason Xander had to come this week is Xander got Rage Powder this week, which is between Xander and Ashley, we have 2 Mon that can redirect onto themselves, which is like stupidly good. It means that our setup options in Zenaku and Jason can actually set up in a doubles match reasonably, which is fantastic. Now, obviously, we need to watch for spread moves from the opposing side of the field. We need to watch out for earthquakes and surfs, which can still like spell doom for our good boy Jason. But if we can get a swords dance up on Jason, get some fast things paralyzed in a perfect world, and just start clicking rock slide, we're gonna do a ton of bananas work. So yeah, that's kind of the team, guys. Let's go ahead and jump over to our showdown view, and we'll talk about what specifically we're bringing this week in both of our matches and kind of what we expect to see there. There we go. There's showdown. All right, so we got our teams imported, and up first is our team against Celeste. We are bringing Chip, Jason the Excadrill, Zenaku the Zoroark, Trakina the Heracross, Xander the Amoonguss, and Ashley the Clefairy against Celeste, which means that we are sitting Billy the Cinccino. We are also sitting Madison, our Jellicent, for the first time in a long time, because Madison's been very good. But I feel like in this particular matchup, Madison offers less than our other options, and we're going real aggro in this match, you guys. I have Chip and Jason up front because I kind of want to fake that lead a little bit, because it makes sense, right? Like, we have Discharge and a ground type. Like that's a logical lead. But I think that against Celeste, we're probably going to wind up leading Ashley and Zenaku and faking Trakina in the back. Trakina, obviously, to fake out, to bring out the Reuniclus, the Jellicent, or both. And we're going to nasty plot on turn one. Because the great thing is Celeste has no switch-ins to Dark-type moves. None. 0 dark switch-ins, and since she got rid of Petra her Crobat, nothing that can outspeed Zenaku. Zenaku is the fastest thing on the field against Celeste and is going to do monkeys with Dark Pulse. Nothing resists it. So that's real fucking good. And yeah, we'll lead, I think, Zenaku, not Ashley. We'll save Ashley in the back because Ashley can also be useful, either to kind of continue the sweep or to set up Jason later in the match. And yeah, I fully expect we're going to have a short match against Celeste, and it's going to be pretty dominant. Because once we get rid of Solon the Jellicent, if we can get rid of Solon the Jellicent on like turn 2, that would be ideal. If Celeste brings it out and then leaves it out once she sees the nasty plot, which she might not. But once we get rid of Solon, Jason is pretty free at that point. Nothing else threatens him to the degree that Water Stab does. So that would be ideal. We do have Chip again with Thunder and with Discharge. Signal Beam is real good for the Reuniclus, which is a dope thing that I have as an option, and also for Bernadetta the Lilligant. So that's pretty dope. And we've got Energy Ball for Sandslash now, which is fantastic. Trakina, despite being here like to a large degree as bait, as switch-in bait for Zenaku illusion shenanigans, Trakina has a really good matchup here for the most part. Obviously bodies the Zangoose, but I mean, like, Reuniclus does not want to eat a Mega Horn. Neither does Lilligant. Arcanine doesn't want anything, but in particular the Rock Slide. Like Trakina's in a really good place to just hit really fucking hard. And then obviously Jason is just a fucking monster. Just does what he does. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this matchup. We got the wide lens on Jason for Rock Slide, specifically Electric Gym on Chip to get a big nuke off. Black Glasses on Zenaku, which is another item that we went to a previously explored area to pick up. Just to boost that good Dark Pulse damage. Trakina's holding the Citrus Berry just so that she can hopefully recover from taking a hit. Xander with the lefties, and Ashley, of course, with the Eviolite. Now, against Mess, we are bringing a similar team, but not the same team. Specifically against Mess, we have set out Trakina in favor of Madison, our Jellicent, which is important, I think, because so many of Mess's biggest threats on his team are physically offensive, and this gives us an option to burn them. This also notably allows us to play a 50-50 game with Lumiere the Chandelure. It gives me something that can switch into a predicted Fire Blast, which is good. But we're still bringing the same Chip, the same Jason, the same Zenaku, Xander, we switched over to the Citrus Berry just because he's unlikely to live a lot of turns, and gave Madison the leftovers instead, and then the same Ashley as well. Again, I'm less confident, if I'm being entirely honest, about this matchup. Mess just has a lot of really good offense, and Mess has the speed advantage on me with Fidget the Crobat, and then also Brutus the Crocodile has the speed advantage on Jason, neither of which are things that are particularly good to me. Chip actually looks really good in this matchup. Does bananas damage. The only thing that Mess has to switch in to a predicted electric stab really is Brutus the Crocodile, technically Absalom the Amoonguss as well, but Absalom's still going to take pretty heavy damage from like an electric gem Thunder, for instance. Doesn't particularly want those. Chip's in a really good place to wall break in this match, which is real good. I'm not sure who I'm going to lead against Mess. Like, it depends largely on like what I see from him in the match overall, like what he brings, which I think he's definitely got some different options. I think Xander is definitely in the back as our Zenaku bait, just because it could draw out Lumiere, potentially, which would be real good for me overall. I definitely think Lumiere comes this week. He didn't last week, and Mess was punished for it, so I don't see any way, anyhow, any reason that Mess would not bring that Candelabra. So yeah, that's our PvP team builder for this week, guys. I feel pretty good about it. I think that Ashley is actually going to be really fucking impactful for her first week on the squad, which is good. Like, overall, I've had a significant share of really unfortunate like fateful encounters, and I'm really glad that here at the tail end of the game I finally get one that I can be excited about, that is actually genuinely good, not great, not broken. Like, I didn't get like a Gen 2 Ursaring at the end of the game, but something that is genuinely good and can put in some work. But that's gonna be it for me for today, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for watching. As always, I've been Jolly by Nature. Thank you for watching. I'll see y'all next time.